What it do? Y'all know who this is, Mr. Real Talk. I'm here to talk to y'all today about a terrorist attack, okay? We had a terrorist attack take place over the weekend in Charlotsville, Virginia. And I know a lot of y'all right now might say, man, what's he talking about? Terrorist attack? If it was a terrorist attack, we would have heard about it. No, you wouldn't. Because when the terror attack is on so-called black people, they don't call it terrorism. They come up with some type of lavish or deceptive wordplay to trick you, because the people who commit terrorist acts against you, they know that they can play with you. They know that they can play with your mind. They know that they can play with you and tell you whatever they want to tell you, and you so gullible and stupid, you gonna suck it up and believe whatever they tell you, okay? Now, as I said, on Saturday, we had a terrorist attack take place on U.S. soil in Charlottesville, North Carolina. A lot of y'all heard about it, but y'all not calling it terrorism. Some of you are, and the ones that are calling it terrorism, kudos to you. Shout out to you. You taking this witchcraft up off your mind to let people play with you and lie to you and deceive you. We had, once again, in Charlottesville, Virginia, a 20-year-old white supremacist, terrorist, demon, devil, carry out an act of terrorism. And I'm keep using that word because you Negroes and so-called black people and so-called African Americans and niggas, as you're more affectionately known, you need to understand this. You are under attack. And you know what? You dumb, simple-minded, slave-minded Negroes out there that want to tell me to tone it down and to be quiet, snap out of it, all right? Because you have been seduced by your slave master to not call a spade a spade. When you looking at one Negro or nigger right here who ain't up under that witchcraft that's on your mind, okay? I got that nonsense and that garbage up off of me. You know what I'm saying? And specifically, I'll call out two of them, Ray Lewis and Michael Vick, okay? Both of those so-called Negroes or so-called African Americans or so-called black people or so-called niggers, as you're more affectionately known, those two guys are sellouts, okay? They told Colin Kaepernick he need to tone it down. Do you see the insanity? They told Colin Kaepernick he need to be quiet about black people being killed unjustly and people who killing them getting found not guilty. They told him he need to be quiet. You know why? Because those two Negroes are slaves, and they're willing slaves, and they want you to be a good willing slave. Hell no. Absolutely not. Guys like that, that's why we got to stop holding these entertainers and these athletes in high regard, because they will simp. They will simp out. They will whore themselves out and slut themselves out, and they get you to do the same thing because you look up to him. You think he's big and strong. He's running around on the football field, knocking heads off, but when he gets off the field, he goes into a very feminine state. And ain't nothing wrong with being feminine if you a woman. But when you a man and your people are being slaughtered and killed, and then somebody stands up and says, hey, this ain't right, they need to stop, and then you tell him to tone it down? Do you know Michael Vick actually suggested, y'all know this, he suggested that Colin Kaepernick cut his afro. He said he got too many problems as it is. He need to cut his afro. Don't need to be so black. Even though that afro is a part of him, he telling him to tone down who he is. What a whore. What a whore. And 90% of our entertainers, leaders, and politicians are sluts and whores for the man who's killing you and the man who's giving the green light to kill you. I don't care if you like this or not. You don't like this, beat it. Go be a good little slave if you don't like it. I ain't no slave. I know people don't like this. You think I care? Do you think I care? You can't make the slave master and the slave happy. Who you want to make happy? The slave master's only happy when he can have you as a slave to work you and to kill you whenever he wants. The slave just want to be free. Whose side you on? Whose side you on? We know whose side Ray Lewis and Michael Vick on. Two whores. Them two Negroes are sluts. And then you know what? They get their mentality from your pastor. Because most of your pastors are sluts as well. And tell them I said it. Direct them to this video and tell them I said it. Now, as I was saying, because this is a part of a very big problem. It's so many avenues that this sickness that's going on the earth, it's so many avenues that lead to this place, okay? Of sickness. Now, as I was saying, yesterday we had a terrorist attack in Charlotsville, Virginia, by a 20-year-old demon in the flesh. He drove his car through the crowd, hitting multiple people and killing one so-called black lady. I believe she was 32 years old. Okay? And this guy who did this murder, he was a Nazi, okay? The people gathered down there who started this incident were the Nazis, the neo-Nazis, the Ku Klux Klan, your oppressor, your slave master. That's who started this. And they were down there actually, check this out. The reason why your slave master can keep playing with you, because he knows you're mentally weak. And you know what? Not because that's just how you are. You choosing to be weak. Your oppressor studies you. He knows you. He knows your tendencies. How you think he was able to oppress you like he did and like he still is? Because your leader got up there and spoke yesterday after this incident when he should have condemned the neo-Nazis. He should have condemned the Ku Klux Klan. But you know what? He didn't. He said, I'm going to condemn the trouble and the violence and the bigotry on both sides. And you know what? You so-called black people, you so-called Negroes, you so-called African Americans, and niggers, as you're more affectionately known, the light in your mind has been turned off. You don't catch these slick sayings that this man says right out in the open. You're unaware. You are so unaware, and it's going to cost you your life. It cost a sister her life this weekend and injured several others. Because you know what it is? You think that marching going to help. I'm going to say that again. You think that marching going to help. Marching don't help. In fact, it makes it worse. Okay? And I'm going to tell you what the solution is. Check this out. Right now, I'm not even supposed to be talking to you guys about this because actually I had in mind for my next video to be the true identity of you so-called black people, you so-called African Americans, you so-called Negroes, or niggers, as you are more affectionately known. I was going to dispose to you your true identity because a lot of us don't know this, and this is why you get played with and killed like you're getting killed. It's so many things that we would know if we knew our true identity, okay? The witchcraft on you is so heavy. Let me tell you how heavy this is. Let me tell you how heavy this is. See, because this needs to come out. You don't understand the slick and dark words that your leader used yesterday. He said, I'm condemning violence on both sides and bigotry on both sides. Now answer me this. Which side is the one that wants to be able to openly display hatred by killing, stealing, murdering, and taking the life from people? And which side is the side saying, hey, you shouldn't be out here trying to kill people for no reason that ain't done nothing to you. Which side is wrong? Guess what? If you can't just come out and say it, you a slut. Straight like that. You are a whore. And that goes for most of your pastors. 95% of your pastors are whores and sluts. And please tell them I said it. Matter of fact, direct them whores to this video. Please. And ask them, what are they doing to try to stop somebody in their congregation from getting murdered? I tell you what they're doing. Nothing. You know why? Because they don't care. They're sluts and whores. And they're just like most of you so-called black people out there. All you want to do is whore yourself out. You don't want to look at reality. And you know what? You can ignore reality all you want. You can ignore reality all you want. Go ahead and ignore it. But you cannot ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. And you finding that out to be true. All you sellout coons, you finding that out to be true. Keep marching and singing and begging. You finding it out to be true. This is a warning to all you so-called black people, you so-called African Americans, you so-called Negroes and niggers, because you're more affectionately known as niggers. I don't care what type of degree you got, how much money you got. To your oppressor, to the people like over the weekend who caused a death that was a hate crime, you're just thugs and niggas. I don't care how much money you got. I don't care how many degrees you got, what prestigious neighborhoods you live in, what luxury foreign model, late model car you drive. You are a thug and a nigga, okay? Where's the proof? They slaughter you whenever they feel like it. And your so-called leader gets up and condemns both sides. Check that out. And he wouldn't even call out the neo-Nazi, the Nazis, and the KKK who put this rally together. You don't get the slick words and the dark sayings that these people use. You don't get it. You don't get it. That's why every time something like this happens, you scratch your head and say, I don't get it. Maybe we need to love them more. Maybe we need to bend over more. Maybe we need to lay down and whore ourselves out just a little bit more. When you gonna stop being a slut, man? Ain't you tired of being a whore? Ain't you tired of being passed around like a $2 slut? And you know what? This is another reason why you got to know who you are. You don't know who you are. You don't know jack, okay? Don't let nobody tell you. You see, you let your oppressor tell you. Your oppressor knows that he can play with you. He knows that he can mentally screw you with no Vaseline. He knows that because he knows you don't read. You got to start reading. See, this is what you got to understand. Before you were allowed to read English, and don't believe this, that you ain't no dummy. It ain't that you couldn't read. You can read your native language, which I'm going into that on my next video, disclosing your true identity. You just couldn't read this jibber jabber, this English, okay? They never wanted you to be able to read English so they can keep playing with you. Your oppressor, when he had you in chains, now he got you in mental chains. Right now I'm speaking of when your oppressor had you in physical chains, and he never intended for you to know how to read English, okay? You were never supposed to know. This world was supposed to go on to infinity without you knowing how to read English so they can pass the truth around right in front of you. You can have a gathering of slave masters, around 10 slave masters with 200 slaves, and they can pass this English book right on around, whatever it is. You wouldn't know what it is if it's sat right in front of you because you can't read English. So they had no problems putting the truths in these English books because they know you can't read, so they can tell you something verbally and then hide the truth over here in the book. Okay, that's the whole purpose of not allowing you to read. You Negroes need to understand. Stop being stupid. That was the whole purpose. But see, now that the unintended consequence, you finding out how to read English, which was never intended, see, now you can go and look in these books. That's where it is. You can look in these books and see what they've been saying and doing the whole time. Because they put the truth in the books. Because they knew you would never know how to read. They didn't mean for you to learn how to read. That was by accident on their part. They didn't want that. That's what you dumb Negroes got to understand out there. Take advantage of that. I used to be dumb and stupid too. I used to not want to read nothing. But you know what? Don't fault yourself for that. I don't fault you for it either. Because they made it a crime for you to know how to read. That's why it got built into you, the disdain for reading. You didn't need it. You said, hey, I'm surviving all these years. I don't know how to read. I'm surviving. What am I missing? You're missing the truth. Okay? You're missing the truth. And a quote from one of our famous leaders, most of you probably know who he is. He said, and ye shall know the truth. And the truth shall make you free. You want to know who that came from? Some of you do. But you ain't got no idea about that guy who it really came from and what he's about. Because if you knew, you might be a little scared right now. But that's for another topic, another time. Okay? I'm trying to save your life. That's what you don't understand. And it's so sick. We got to stop this sickness, y'all. How many more innocent black people gonna have to die at the hands of your slave master before you snap out of it? How many more gonna have to suffer before you snap out of it, man? Are you gonna have to suffer because you're unwilling to snap out of it? I hope not. I hope not, because the penalties could be kind of harsh if you keep refusing to accept who you are and what's been going on with you. James Fields, I believe his name. His name doesn't even matter. Just say a 20-year-old white supremacist demon terrorist. That's sufficient. That'll suffice. Carried out a hate crime, which he should get the death penalty for, because the hate crime, you're eligible for the death penalty. He should get that. But he ain't going to get that, of course, because they're not even going to call it a hate crime. They're going to broad stroke the hell out of this, lower it down. They already only charging this demon with second-degree murder. You hear me? Y'all hear me? Second-degree murder? You kidding me? Oh, man. It's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. But once again, your slave master knows he can play with you. He knows that your mental skills are way off. Now, some of us out there see what's going on. I mean the whole picture. I don't mean bits and snaps. I mean the whole film, the whole kit and caboodle. Some of us know what's going on, and some of us know who's responsible for it. And then we got those Negroes out there like Ray Lewis. What a pathetic, weak man he is. Strong on the football field, but mentally, he got the strength of a baby chicken. You hear what I'm saying? Michael Vick, same way. Strength of a baby chicken. Or maybe a earthworm, because he's a worm. He has the spirit of a worm. Shout out to Colin Kaepernick, by the way, who the NFL is freezing out because they hate the fact that he don't want black people to get killed. They don't like that. They don't like the fact that he wants to say something about unjust murder after murder after murder after murder. They want you to be quiet and shut your mouth and die quietly, man. Stop being a slut and a whore. Look, you gonna die regardless. You might as well say something. Don't listen to guys like Ray Lewis and Michael Vick. They want you to die and zip your mouth quietly and die. Whores, man. Just like your pastor at church. Your pastor at church is a whore. Because he should be talking about this type of stuff, but he ain't. You know why? Because he's getting paid off by your slave master. And your slave master pays him good to keep quiet. And he does a good job of keeping quiet. Because he doesn't want to upset the slave master. To get the slave totally free, you're going to have to upset the slave master. Okay? You think it's some type of thin line? Nah. Stop being a coon. Ain't no thin line. Either you're going to be setting the slave free, making him happy, or you're going to keep the slave a slave and make the slave master happy. Which one you going to do? I know the answer for most of y'all. You want to keep the slave a slave. You fought because you believe in Ray Lewis. You believe in Michael Vick. You believe in your pastor, which is just a whore for your oppressor. That's all he does. And matter of fact, I encourage you, tell your pastor what I said. Please send him to this video. Please. Disgusting, man. But the whole point of this is to wake you up, man. I'm waking you up because while you sleep, you don't know they're going to kill you while you sleep, man. They've been doing it, and they're still doing it. Who is going to raise up and say something? Huh? Not your pastor. Not the athletes. It's definitely Ray Lewis, and definitely not Michael Vick. None of these guys, they're scared to death. They're good for what they're good for. They're great at sports. Strong on the field. Strong on the basketball court. But when it comes to their mind power, they got the strength of baby unhatched chickens. Okay? Don't follow these guys. A statement I heard by your leader yesterday said on the radio, he said it live. He said, this country, there's no room in this country for that type of behavior, which is BS, because this country is built and founded on that type of behavior. So that's the way that they playing with you right there. As soon as you hear them say something like that, immediately red flags should go up. What do you mean this country doesn't have a place for behavior like that? This country is built and maintained and founded on behavior just like that. Without that type of behavior, you would not have this country. But you know why you don't know that? Because you don't think for yourself. Your oppressor has really blinded you to many of obvious things in life. And he do it, one, by first scaring the hell out of you, by beating the hell out of you, by murdering you, enslaving your body and your mind, and then he installs Christianity into you. That don't help at all, because all that is white supremacy doctrine. That's all it is. Anybody who says it is, I could care less. Your pastor, for the most part, 95% of them are whores, and they're whoring you out, and they're getting you killed. They've been getting you killed since you got off the slave ships, and they got indoctrinated with Christianity, and they're pushing that on you. Okay? And this is something that I heard your leader say yesterday on the radio. He said, this country, there's no space, there's no room for this stuff in this country. And, we're better than that, which you're not better than that, because that is the lifeblood and the gas of this country. So once again, that's another lie. I mean, when you going to snap out of it? Are you going to snap out of it, or are you just going to do like everybody wants you to do? Die with your mouth closed. Die and be quiet about it. This place wants you to be tortured, and they want you to not yell while you're being tortured. Stop being that way. You're getting tortured regardless. You better yell, unless you want to continue to die. And I'm telling you this out of love. I'm warning you. The green light has been put out. Go back and check some of my other videos, man. I've been telling you, you are walking around plenty of terrorists every day, posing as Americans, calling themselves Americans. And they're really just domestic terrorists. And they're carrying out terrorism. The number one target is you. And you sitting back like a dummy and not saying nothing. You sitting back like a dummy and still subscribing to this man's ideology. You sit back like a dummy and still worship the same God as this man. Because you know what your leader said yesterday too? When he said this country has no place for this type of behavior and yada, 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 and woody, woody, woo, which was all lies. He said, let us remember one thing. We're all American. That's what he said. I'm going to stop you right there. That is a damn lie. Check this out. Your oppressor is not even American. Here's how stupid you are. You know that your oppressor came over here and slaughtered 77 million Native American Indians, stole this land, and then called himself American. That's how he called himself American. He stole this land from the real Americans. And you so stupid, you still calling this man American. This man is a European, not an American. So what is he talking about? We all Americans. No, we're not. He's not even American. The people who are destroying the earth and this country and oppressing everyone are not American. They are European. So-called black people, which I am, so-called African Americans, so-called Negroes and niggers are not Americans. So-called Americans brought you over here as slaves, okay? You are what you called yourself before you went into slavery. You didn't call yourself American because America is a white man. His name was American Vespuccian. He was a slave master. I'm not him. I'm not American. Like I said, your slave master knows your mental skills are way off. He knows he can play with you. So we're not all Americans. Anybody want to combat that? Stop being slave-minded, okay? Just think. It makes sense. But you don't want to let it make sense because you're scared to death of your slave master. And I understand this is not for everybody. A lot of people, they're just scared to death. I feel you. And when you're scared to death, go to church. Go to church and worship a false god if you're scared. Because your leader also said yesterday, we're all Americans and we love our God. Now, I'm about to end this video. He said, we're all American and we love our God. I want to ask you a question. So-called black people, so-called Negroes, so-called African Americans, and yes, you niggas too. We all Americans and we love our God. I want to ask you this. Who is your God and what is his name? And what does he look like? Who's your God? What is his name? And what does he look like? We're all American. That's what your leader said yesterday. We are all American and we love our God. So I'm asking you, what God is that? What's his name? What does he look like? Tell me about him. Is your God the same God as the God he's talking about? Or do you have a different God? Yeah, I know you don't want to answer that. I know you don't. I know you don't. You want to keep your slave master happy. You think about that. Because today I wasn't even supposed to come talk to y'all about this, but I had to come out and warn y'all. Because check this out. Some of us see what's going on the earth. All of us are not asleep. Some of us actually do research. If any of you ever heard of that, some of us actually do that. So we know what's going on out here. That's why I said, oh my goodness, I have got to warn these Negroes and these niggers and these black people and these African Americans. I got to warn them. The green light hit just got put out. They're not calling out the Nazis and the neo-Nazis and the Ku Klux Klan. Those devils were walking through town with torches, bats, poles, and rifles. Do you know that those, of course, once again, those so-called black people, they were in the church, right? They got the word. It was advised for them to not leave the church, to stay inside, because if they come outside, who knows what might happen to them? And guess what? Where were the police at? Where were the police at? Yeah. Stop being a slut and a whore. Get your mind straight. I'm warning you. I don't want to see you die out there. You got to get your head on straight. Stop letting these oppressors play with you, man. I'm warning you. I'm tired of making videos about terrorists posing as Americans. I'm tired of that, man. Go back and check out some of my other videos when I warned y'all, but you're so crazy and so lazy, you don't want to pay attention until you get killed. Pay attention, man. And this next video is going to be what it was supposed to be this time. Your true identity and what you got to do. But I just had to come out today and give y'all this warning because you think your oppressor been killing you. You ain't seen nothing yet, okay? Ain't nobody warning you. That's why I came out here to do this. You know why ain't nobody warning you? Because don't nobody care about you, man. When you gonna snap out of it and realize that don't nobody care about you? The whole world hates you for the most part. Yes, for the most part, the whole world hates us. When you gonna get that, man? You ain't gonna get it. That's why I gotta come out here and warn you, because nobody else is warning you. I ain't talking about something small, a little isolated incident. I'm telling you, you ain't seen nothing yet because you still sleep. Wake up, y'all. Keep your heads up. Stay alert. And look, you better like this video. Share this video. Look, if you care about Negroes, niggas, black people, so-called African Americans, even though y'all don't know your true identity, but if you care about those people, like this video, man. Share this video, man, because ain't nobody else warning you about what's about to happen to you. You don't know nothing, man. You don't study history. Study the Nazis, okay? You got the Nazis reigning over you right now. They proved it yesterday. The Nazis are in charge in this country, okay? Study them. Study what they did before they executed those white Jewish men over there and killed like 6,000 white Jewish people, okay? They weren't just able to do that overnight. They had to push out propaganda to make it okay with the Germans to slaughter those white Jewish men in public and to have nobody say, you shouldn't do this. That's the same thing they doing to black people, Negroes, African Americans, or niggers, as you're more affectionately known. They have already laid the groundwork and set the pretense. The green light is on. You can shun this off all you want. You about to die like you ain't never seen, okay? And when that happens, it's already happening. But check this out. When you actually man enough or woman enough to face it, you're going to look back on this video and you're going to remember this video, what I told you. I ain't never lied to you, man. I ain't got time to lie to you. You think I'm out here for my health? I'm out here to stop you from being killed, to stop you from being foolish, to get you to wake up to one thing. Who you are and what you are and what's about to happen to the whole entire planet. Wake the hell up. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, because next time I get it, y'all, I'm bringing who you are, what you are, who your God is, and what you got to do. I'm out.